and I always ask people, in life, you want to always know who is the most loving person you know. And it's very interesting because I've asked many people that, like, who's the most loving person? I said, oh, well, my mom. And I said, okay, well, what would you like to emulate about her?
Right.
They're like, how she cooks. And I said, no, I think you're really missing it. Like unconditional love. Like, who is the most loving? Like, this is a person like that's on that divine level.
Right.
That if you smack them, they will smile and say, well, yeah, bless you.
What's the answer from your perspective?
Yeah, well, for me, it's just being conscious of that. And when I could hear some of that, when people say, who is the love? And I've heard that more recent than before. But the first time I heard that, I think I was in college. And I went back to my childhood, and I was like, wow, there were just a lot of very sad people. And these are very good people, but they were sad. And why were they sad? Why were they not happy? Like, what's that gap? What's the gap between where you are now and where you'd like to be?
Right.
What's the gap between where you are now and ultimate joy?
That's
What's the gap
right.
now between where you are now and being the most loving person that the world, what's keeping you from being the most loving person the world knows? So like the world, you ask anybody in the world, who's the most loving person? Why are they not saying you?
Welcome to the Kim Jacobs Show. I am so excited to have you all here with me today and looking very much forward to you meeting my very special guest. I have a guest that is what I consider the Queen of Joy. She started this whole joy journeys, and this woman goes out of her way to make sure that she spreads joy around the world. She's actually termed the coin Joyologist. I have with me in the studio today none other than the Queen of Joy, Geraldine Brisbane Crooks. Hello.
Thank you. Hi there.
You didn't know I was going to introduce you like that, right?
I had no idea. However, it's just like in many instances, it's really easy to experience joy when you're around what I call joy sisters.
Aww.
So that is part of the learning lesson in life. You can have more joy if you can be more joy and surround yourself with more joy. So thank you for being a part of my joy circle.
Oh my gosh.
You didn't even know,
I didn't even know I was a part of your joy
Yes, you
circle.
are.
But the thing is, I know every time I greet you, instead of like where I normally would hug a person this way, you've always told me to hug this way. And why do you do that?
Yes, it's what I call heart to heart. Because the heart always knows whether this person is needing love or they want to give you love. The heart will never, ever in life fail you. Ever.
So it's the hearts are connected.
Heart to heart.
Oh.
So on this side, it's like there's nothing there.
Okay.
So when you hug heart to heart, you can actually, in many instances, always find if someone is not sincere, not joyful, you can feel that too, because some things you may not want to hug. I'm just saying.
That's a good
You never
point.
know.
So you're like,
But the heart always knows which way, whether to hug tighter or looser or not so much so.
now you're going to have me paying attention to you, because if you hug, you be like this, back up.
Never. I never want to let you go. I don't know if you noticed that. Yeah,
Oh yeah, you always hug me tight, so that's a good thing, and thank you. What made you ever start this whole concept of joy? First of all, what a beautiful thing to want to pursue after joy and happiness. That's like a wonderful journey. And what made you take that on as your quest?
Yes, well, in many instances, what I call PMS in a good way, our personal mission statements in life is already in us. So it's in us, and we go out and look for it, but people will see it before we see it. Mm-hmm. So I was actually told along the way, there were people say, one day you will start a movement, a joy movement, and I used to hear this from different people, but I didn't know what that meant. But it was meant for those people to be there so that I had a point of reference. And I would say on my journey to actually see people be miserable, some by choice and some by their circumstances and some by just by life, is to know that everyone deserves to experience, because there's a difference between happiness and joy.
Yeah, a big one.
Yes.
So tell my audience, what
so
do you feel is the difference between joy and happiness?
There's happiness is for me a temporary thing. With happiness, it's like an outside thing. So okay, well I got a brand new this, yay, or this happened, yay. But joy is an internal thing that no one can take from you. However, it's a choice in life. Whereas, things can happen externally that can make you feel a certain way. Joy is something that's divine, that you're born with, and that you can make a choice every day whether you can be joyful inside out and send ripples, that movement out to the world. Whereas with happiness, you don't know what's going to happen that could come up that can make you smile or go, gee, I didn't expect this gift. Right. And so when you can be joyful and happy, that's a good thing.
That's a great thing.
But the joy is definitely a very healing thing, because for me, always when I spell joy, the O in joy is always shaped like a heart, because it's so grounded in love, because you will never find a person that's truly 100% authentic and genuine in their joy that doesn't love themselves. I mean, you have to love yourself and every ounce about yourself to know that regardless of where everyone else go in life, you will always be with you. Oh. And what we have in ourselves is there are no other options. This is the only place we have to live is with ourselves. So if you don't love yourself, how can you expect someone else to love you and be happy with you? If that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. Actually, I don't know if you see, as a host, I'm over here and I'm feeling like so relaxed and I feel tranquil and serene. But I actually feel like so at peace as I'm talking to you. Oftentimes when you're talking with someone, and depending upon the topic, it puts a certain mood, or it sets the atmosphere. And so what you bring to the atmosphere is just total peace and calm and tranquility. And you're not physically here with me, the studio audience, you all are, but if you were here, you would feel, every person in here, right? You all that are here, you feel that in your spirit. So the genuineness that you are sharing along your journey is so sincere, and it just kind of exudes from your pores. So I'm very grateful that God blessed you to have this as your path. Were you always this joyful as a child growing up, or?
Well, it's so interesting because I really could not speak fluently until I was 12 years old. Oh, so I spent so much time in silence, and so in that silence, I was able to do a lot of observing, and seeing that people, the emotional piece of it. And it's amazing what you can observe when people are silent. And when you're silent and you're watching people from the silence, if that makes any sense. And I have a twin brother, so he would always speak for me. She wants 5 pieces of chocolate cake. I'm like, I don't even like chocolate cake. But, that was his way of getting things. But at the same time, he always looked out for me, if that made any sense. Like, to have this twin brother, I think he came as my guardian. But I had to also know about bullying at a very deep core. So in starting this school later on in life, when I say we will not and we do not tolerate bullying, I mean that from the core, because children just didn't start being cruel.
Right.
The children can be cruel. So when you're not talking and people know you can't talk and things can happen and you can't speak, you know in life that if you ever see someone going through this and you can help it or you can prevent it, then it's just not going to happen.
Wow. Well, first of all, I didn't even know that this part of your story. And here on the Kim Jacobs Show, it's very important that you get to hear the backstory. So as you'll learn more today about Geraldine, which we call a Geri Crooks, you're going to hear a lot more about her current day story. But if you would be kind enough to take us back, what caused you not to be able to speak for 12 years?
It was such a severe, like, I would say stuttering, but it was like if I wanted to say something, it just wouldn't come out, And so with spending so much time with our grandparents, my grandmother said no surgeries, no this, no that. Or, it's real easy to label children special.
Right.
And you put them in the attic or down in the basement or whatever the case may be. But my grandmother did not allow that. She actually was one of those very hardcore matriarchs, and she taught kindergarten through 12th grade in a log cabin in South Carolina.
Oh, wow.
So we had many people growing up that would stop by and they're like, Miss Maddie, see this mark on my leg? That was before they went on, locked you up if you spank a child. And then on the weekend she had this little grocery store and she cooked, had the fish fries. She was like,
she did it all.
So very, very strong. And so she said there's nothing wrong with her. When she's ready, she will speak. I mean, there were all kind of things that were coming about. Oh, we can cut this, and there's a muscle that needs to be this and all. My grandmother said, absolutely not. You will not do.
Interesting.
So I just felt growing up because I was not treated special. She would not allow that to happen, and she protected me, and my twin brother protected me. That I just thought it was just it just was the norm. Until one day I was coming home from school, walking home from school, and out of nowhere, you're just walking, and there's just, at first I thought it was a horse, and I look back, and it's just like this huge Great Dane, and he was coming at me, like, just for no reason. I wasn't doing anything.
And you were by yourself?
I was by myself coming, because I remember my brother helped me that day, and the teacher asked him to sit down, but I didn't understand. And he could look at my face and tell I didn't understand. Right. He came over and was explaining, did not leave my side until I understood. And then he went back to his seat and she said, you'll be staying after school. And I was like,
for helping. Wait a minute now. This is very profound. Mm-hmm. The teacher knew that you couldn't speak at that level.
Yeah.
And so she knew that your twin brother was coming to help you and to make sure that you had a clear understanding, because he could read your face as his twin. As a sibling, and she punished him for that.
Oh yeah, but that was a lot of that growing up for him. So even part of dedicating my program when the school started, we always said predominantly male, is to say that sometimes children get labeled when they're, because he was always smarter than I was, because he was not just helping me, he was helping others. But he was labeled bad because he was somewhere trying to help and do.
Looking like he was out of place, but he wasn't out of place. He was actually in the right place to make sure that you were learning what you needed to learn. But the teacher was like, you're defying me. And
questioning the teacher. Like, she doesn't understand. And, why don't you talk? And being left-handed, we're both left-handed, I wrote upside down. So she would constantly turn my paper around, and he would come over and turn it back, saying that I would be struggling writing it the straight way.
So he's like your guardian angel here on earth.
Yeah,
amazing.
Yes.
What's his name?
I love him, Gerald.
Gerald. So Geraldine and Gerald. Yes. I love you, Gerald. I'm so grateful that you stood by your sister's side.
He still is like that. And so it's just like there was a difference in grade level where once I started talking, it's like I was promoted and he was not promoted that year because of doing those kinds of things, like helping and there was a point in history when teachers said this child is this and that, and you believe the teacher.
That's the bottom line.
And this is where I am. I'm such a child advocate when parents say, "Well, the teacher said this," and I'm like, can I hear the child's part of it?
Can I hear from the child?
Yes.
Wow.
And all this, and this is a lot of times I've always rocked the boat, because when I started talking, that dog came after me.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. We have to go back to, this is the 12, you were 12 years old at this point? Okay, so take us back. You're here.
After me.
Your brother stayed after school, so Gerald stayed after school because he was being punished for helping his sister. Me. And then you're walking down this road by yourself. Out comes this thing that looks like a horse, but it's actually a Great Dane.
I heard the voice, the patent first, like, like
like something out of a horror movie.
Like something out of a horror movie. Now, if you can imagine like those horror movies when something is chasing you and and you hear the like you hear the sounds of you can hear the sounds.
Yes.
And so at first it was just like, because I have very, very distinct hearing, you know, and so I can hear like almost like just like a break, then something fall, then just, you know, then it's like a horse or something, and I was like, surely this is not happening to me today. And I turn around and it's this huge great thing, and I just, all I knew is that, you know, like the cartoons, how you try to run and your feet are on the ground, it just seemed like I could not get in touch with the ground. I was trying to run, and it was just like right there, like every time I would kick my leg up, it was like I was feeling him, and I just started screaming. I just help, someone help me, you know. And as soon as I got to my grandmother's house and my grandfather, and you know, they heard me and they came out, and I was like, this great dog, of course, just like, and it was like, what's wrong, and I was trying to explain to them what was going on, and it was just, the words were just coming out. And I have not stopped since. But my grandfather in his shotgun, he called me sister, let's go get that shotgun. We went looking for that Great Dane, and to this day,
You never saw it.
I never found that Great Dane.
Oh.
Yeah. So I don't know who that Great Dane belonged to or where it came from, but
But it was sent for you.
And my grandmother said, when it's time. Because after that, it's just like, I can see from that journey on, it was about, well, what's wrong with you, and who's bothering you, and how can I help you? It's just like being given that service back that I received all my life, you know, from others,
So technically you were very grateful for the Great Dane that kind of scared you into speaking, if that.
Every time I say Great Dane now, I have like this flashback. But I have such respect, because I know that if I had not had that experience in life, it you know, it just like, it just brought everything, like that fear, like my greatest fear of no one being around. My greatest, you know, you will always encounter your greatest fear, you know, but the thing is,
You
like,
made me cry.
yeah, like, it's like whatever you fear most, whatever it may be, ask yourself, what do I fear most? You have to experience it, because it will bring the greater out of you. And my greatest fear was always being by myself, needing help, and not being able to. Yeah, now you're gonna make me cry.
You don't want to have tears in the corner of your eyes.
And look, and not being able to, not even, you know, just being helpless, and
Right.
and that was my fear. It was realized, but such greatness came out, and I've seen time after time after time, when I'm doing the transformational coaching with women, I'm saying, you know, you have to know that hurt, the deepest hurt, the deepest tragic experience is what is going to bring clarity of who you'll serve and how you'll serve and what way you'll serve. It will always bring the greatest out of you.
Wow. It definitely brought the greatest out of you, and I would love for everyone to learn more about how that greatness kind of, what that situation did to catapult you to where you are today.
Yes,
So,
yes.
please tell us more.
And then from talking, now I guess people like all those, because you know, when people feel like you
talk
can't
a lot.
talk,
So I didn't even know you. You talk a whole lot.
When people feel like you can't talk, it's almost, it used to be like those tables where those butlers would stand around with the pictures, and these people, dignitaries and politicians and people would sit at the table, and they would say all these things, and they would think these people were invisible to help, you know. And so all these years, you know, I was so quiet, and I was observing so much, and I know in a lot of people's mind, they're like, hey, you know, she can't talk, she could never tell, you know, the kind of thing. So a lot of what I did see was just the true, authentic people, because I guess they didn't feel like they have anything to hide. Misery and emotional things. So, you know,
because they were able to just really be themselves around you.
And then sometimes,
because they didn't think they could ever.
They would sit and say, so what's on your mind? Well, I would just smile, and they'll say, well, let me tell you what's on my mind. And they were like, just pour their hearts out, you know. So I heard a lot, and I saw a lot, because people didn't think anything about it.
So what about when you first started speaking then, and somebody finally remembered that they used you as their counseling go-to person? How did they feel when they recognized that?
Oh, yeah.
Are you talking now?
When it's just very interesting, because there was a very different relationship, because I think there was this always like you know, are you going to tell, and are you, you know, that kind of thing. But it was not about that for me. It was, you know, and I always ask people, in life, you want to always know who is the most loving person you know. And it's very interesting because I've asked many people that, like, who's the most loving person? I said, oh, well, my mom. And I said, okay, well, what would you like to emulate about her?
Right.
They're like, how she cooks. And I said, no, I think you're really missing it. Like unconditional love. Like, who is the most loving? Like, this is a person like that's on that divine level.
Right.
That if you smack them, they will smile and say, well, yeah, you know, bless you. You know, that kind of thing. So, not in a martyr kind of way, but someone that's so loving that you would like to emulate that, to travel a higher road, to be a better person, to be a greater vessel, if that makes sense.
And what's the answer from your perspective?
Yeah, well, for me, it's just being conscious of that. And when I could hear some of that, when people say, you know, who is the loving, and I've heard that more recent than before, but the first time I heard that, I think I was in college, and I went back to my childhood, and I was like, wow, there were just a lot of very sad people. And these are very good people, but they were sad. And why were they sad? Why were they not happy? Like, what's that gap? What's the gap between where you are now and where you'd like to be?
Right.
What's the gap between where you are now and ultimate joy?
That's
What's the gap now between where you are now and being the most loving person that the world, what's keeping you from being the most loving person the world knows? So, like, the world, you ask anybody in the world, who's the most loving person? Why are they not saying you? Like, what's that gap between that? And so in my mind, I was like, you know, but everyone deserves to be happy and joyful.
Yes.
Loved and loving. But that was a part of it, is that you can't give something you don't have.
You cannot give anything. So, I mean, that's another point you have to make directly to my community here. Let them know that. Say that again, please.
You cannot give what you do not have. And part of my passion and commitment to joy is to experience it first and share it, because I can't share what I'm not personally feeling myself.
Okay.
You know, some people are like, well, where are you going there? I'm just going to refill on joy, so I have something to share. But you have to be able to have, it's like, you know, you can't even say, I know what an apple tastes like if you just have a description of it and a picture of it. Well, this is a picture and this is the definition, but you've never
tasted the apple. So joy and your pursuit of joy basically started you on what's called joy journeys, right?
It's experiencing the opposite of that, of just feeling so sad for a lot of the people I saw around me, including teachers and family and church members and neighbors, and you know,
and that's what kicked it off for you?
Well, I just felt like knowing the opposite. Somewhere in me, I kept saying, but life has to be more than that.
Yes.
You know, and you hear, you know, Jesus came that we may have life and life more abundantly. Right. And I'm like, well, where is that? Is that a city or a state?
It's like, I want to get there.
Is there like boundaries for that? Like, why is it not unlimited and accessible to everybody? So I was hearing this in church, but then I wanted to see it, and then I wanted to feel it.
Excellent. So that you could actually own it and say, I own joy, technically speaking.
So part of that is the creation of it. No one knocks at your door and say, good morning, how are you? I am here to give you your gift of joy. It has to be a choice.
It's inside you already.
A choice. And your joy is different from someone else's joy, but the vibration is the same. You know, like my favorite food might be one thing and your favorite food is another. But when we both have it and we're feeling good about it, someone looking at us will see the exact same.
That's right.
If that makes any difference. So you know, when you have mothers that are so committed to their families and they're giving joy, but they can't experience it, and then they give so much of it that they just don't have the vibration to give anymore, because they're what's what they call burnout, but they've not been able to experience it, to fill it up.
That's
as
right.
Lisa say, let it run over to the saucer, and you let your cup stay full with joy so that you can give unlimited to the world, and then just let the share from your saucer, not from your cup. But this is why there's such a population now of the mental centers. You know, the helping with the
mental health and stuff.
Yeah, mental health, because it's just like, I just think we're so distracted by making sure that the outwardly things
looks
are
right, but not
our entire
on the
world
inside.
is an inside job.
And now you actually, I know every year you do a retreat and you go to Africa, right? And take a group of people. Tell us about that.
So those joy journeys were designed that people can say, oh, I let it go, or oh, why can't we just go to the beach? Because if we just go down to the beach, first of all, your attachments, your family, your loved ones, your whoever you're giving to, or sucking your energy vampires, they'll follow you. They'll
to the
call
beach,
you.
right?
But when we get on the plane and we are flying 17 hours, there's a point on that journey that I'm walking around the plane and I'm saying, did you hear it yet? Did you hear it? Did you feel it yet? You can feel those umbilical cords pop. Because when you're that far away and you're 7 hours ahead, these people are asleep, so they can't even think about you, because thoughts are things. And if we knew how powerful a negative thought was, we'd never think a negative thought again. But that goes just for the positive, but it's just by default people think negative before they think positive, right?
Yeah.
So when people are asleep and you're awake and you're eating all this wonderful food, seeing these beautiful places.
So now you're really on a joy journey. You're away from it all.
Journey.
You're completely de-stressed.
Yes. And I always say to folk too, it's never real. They're like, I'm here and I'm never going back. I'm like, no, it's not a destination. It is truly a journey, and it is a choice. And when you make that choice, your outside world will probably start looking different. In a good way, but in a different way first, because that means that those people that are used to, they may have to fall to the wayside, everybody. And you may have to be by yourself a little bit.
Interesting.
But self-love becomes a very beautiful thing.
This woman is dropping some serious knowledge on this show today on the Kim Jacobs Show. You should be sharing this video footage with everybody you know, because there are so many sad people in this world that internalize so many things. But what you're sharing, if you really connect with the Queen of Joy, the Joyologist here, you're going to be able to go on a journey that's going to change your life. How would people connect with you? Because I do want to make sure that people hear how they can connect with Geraldine Brisbane Crooks.
Yes. Well, I actually have a website.
Okay.
That I plan to use more, because I have 4 books that I plan to do a sabbatical and get those out. But it's called myjoycoach.net.
myjoycoach.net. myjoycoach.net. Make sure you go and check out myjoycoach.net so that you can stay connected with Miss Geri Brisbane Crooks. Now, Geri, I know that you did start a school, Brisbane Academy, and I want everyone to hear about how that came about as well, because it's a beautiful school, and it's a bully-free zone, so the children love each other, the staff love the children love the staff. It's just a really warm, joyful experience to come to Brisbane Academy. Tell us more about how that started.
Our Joy Village.
That's your Joy Village. Okay, everything's joy.
Joy. Well, because it feels so good.
It does.
It feels so good, and
it feels so good sitting here talking to you. I mean, seriously, I just thought you had a wonderful spirit, but after this interview today, I feel even more of a soul connection with you.
Thank you.
And I can't wait to go on one of your joy journeys.
Well, it's so interesting, because when people choose, that is you feel so good. You want everybody else to feel so good. And I've had people call me and say, everyone hates me now that I've chosen to be happy.
Too joyful.
You're like, bring it down a level. I'm like, no, how about you come up?
Yeah, I've had people say that to me when I was working in pharmaceuticals. I'm like, I really wish you would take a negative pill.
Yes.
Who would even say that? That you want me to be negative?
Yeah.
That is crazy. Okay.
So do you understand that? So I just feel like everything outside of us does not know how, because it's just outside. Inside of us is where our spiritual connection is, and it is that's who we are. That's what we feed off of. But
Right.
I will tell you, my grandmother said to me, she called me Pearl Bailey, and I said, I want
Pearl Bailey?
Pearl Bailey.
Okay.
I said to her, I would like to go to college, and I'd like to go to the Holy Land. And I did all of that in 1 year, but that was just a whole journey by itself. But I funded my way to college by tutoring. And just what my brothers, I modeled what my brother showed me. Helping others always comes back to help you.
Always.
No matter, always.
It really
People are like,
does.
oh, they do wrong and they never catch us up. Even if it doesn't affect that person, it may affect that person that person most love. Because some people rather it happen to them than it happens to someone they love.
That's right.
But it will always but just as that negative the positive, and always say, you have to always listen to that voice that tells you what not to do.
That's right.
It will also tell you what to do. And I got to go to college, it will become clear. So I tutored professors' children, the basketball team. Ooh, that was lots of fun. And then the community children. So leaving school, went right into starting a learning center. Mm-hmm. And out of that learning center, had 13 children that said, we love learning here, but we don't want to go to school. Wow. Because school is different from here. They were doing great in the learning center, but not performing in school. So those 13 children are the ones we started the school with.
Oh,
and
wonderful. The 13 that you had the learning center, you started Brisbane Academy.
Mm-hmm. At that time, there were about 300 children there, but out of that 300, I had 13 children that were they were like little geniuses. The third graders doing algebra, sixth graders doing calculus. I mean, they were smart, but they did not know. They just knew that they could not thrive in where they were. They were either being bullied by a teacher or a peer or both, or
because there are adults that bully adults.
Yes,
adults
yes.
that bully kids and staff bully children and children bully. It's just bullying all around.
All around.
So
and they just felt overwhelmed. So what they did, they just shut down. And when I would go and visit them in schools, I saw me. I saw me like in this
shut down.
And they didn't have twin brothers that would come over and say, do you understand?
So you had to be their twin brother, technically speaking.
I had to be their advocate. And I said, so what can I do? I'm straight out of college with no credit. But I tell you, I said, whatever I could do until there's a wall, I would go. And 27 years later, those children that asked me 27 years ago to help them start a school where there's no bullying, they can be taught according to their style of learning.
Yes.
They can feel like they're going from home to home. And most importantly, it's a small environment where we all feel like family. Even if it's an only child, I feel like I have lots of moms.
Yes.
Lots of
I've been there, and it does.
Yeah.
It literally feels like it's one big happy family. And the children they're not faking. They're genuinely excited about their education and learning from these teachers. So I'm quite impressed with Brisbane Academy. And it's been 27 years, you said?
27 years. And people are like, well, you can't. It's such a small school. You can't make a difference. But 27 years later, there has been estimated about over 4,000 children that have gone through our learning center and the school. And now we have the most children's children. And actually,
and their children's children come to your school too?
Yes, yes. What this is how I know that this new season is where I have to take some time and write these books. I saw one of my previous students whose son actually went to the school, and now he is married. Got married 2 months ago, and his wife
is expecting third generation coming up.
She says that you can't go anywhere until the baby goes through. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'll be 99 before you all let me out. So anyway, we just want to make sure that as we're setting up for legacy, and that there's always a culture and a learning environment wherever it may be, and just mentorship in terms of ladies that are interested in starting school, helping them. And actually, I have R.C. Smith on our campus, as a young lady that worked with and did mentorship, and her children are in our school. And
wonderful.
So that's what it should be like. We should be on this mission to enjoy life and help others to enjoy, because everyone deserves to experience
have a great
joy.
life. Well, and the joy that you bring to the lives of so many children, you also have had the opportunity to bring joy to your own family. So tell us a little bit about your family unit. Because I know you're an empty
Yes.
nester coming up here.
my
But tell us about your family.
I used to hear people say, "Oh, my children are gone away. I'm so depressed." I'm like, "Really? Like I'm waiting on it to hit." It's like because you want them to be able to have their own without you going. Did you brush your teeth? Did you here's your vitamins? And you want them to be able to do it. So that my greatest gift is to be able to see them know how to pay a bill and know how to take it.
Yes.
Because at some point, if those skills aren't learned and you need them to help you, they were like, "Well, what do I do next?"
You don't know how to sign. Do you know that the people do not teach cursive writing in like 3rd and 4th grade anymore?
Mm-hmm.
So when you're like 18 and you have to sign a check, your first real check with a checking account, you have to print your name because you didn't learn cursive.
I did not know that.
What in
I
the
did not know that
world
because
is going on in society?
we will always do phonics. We will always do penmanship. Anything, and then
That's at
also,
Brisbane Academy,
That's
not
at Brisbane
everywhere.
Academy.
Not everywhere.
But also you must know that cursive writing helps with the impulse reaction in the back of the brain.
Right.
So if you're not practicing penmanship and you don't have a good penmanship, and you're not exercising that impulse reaction in the back of your brain, and guess what? If someone comes by and they mumble something, and you think the impulse is like they're reacting,
Right.
and there's so you see these teens doing things, and they don't have they're like numb to it, and they don't have. You ask them to write in cursive. Yeah, but there's a reason that
I would love to see that study. I need that study because that's
check it out.
Yeah,
Check it out.
I would
But
like to
there's a
review
reason
that.
that there are things that was done in old school that affected our generation that are like all this technology free, no books, no this, no that, and a child that's a tactile learner is used to learning by touching, but they're just being tested, ABC. So our children can, there's a lot of stimulus that they aren't getting from even the hugs and oh baby. And this computer's not going to say, hey, how you doing? Well, how's your grandmother?
Put some fake name in there and try and lure you. Like, who is this?
And even interaction with people help to expand your faith. So if you were with a computer, and computers have their place.
Oh yeah,
don't get me wrong.
And my son did an argumentative essay on social media, and he definitely kind of won me over after reading his argumentative essay.
Yes,
so I agree with
place.
you, Jeremiah, based on your argumentative essay. But it has its place. But I definitely think
place.
Human contact has its
place.
more significant place as well.
And we're still tutoring. Our tutorial program is like 38 years old. So we're still tutoring, and part of that is that when the children are coming in now, we're having to, when we bring out a textbook, they're liking it. They're taking the pages, you can take.
What is this?
It's a book, and it's just, it blows me away because we took those things for granted. They're like, we don't have any of these. All we have is, and the EMF that's coming from the electronics are causing a lot of health and developmental issues with their children that we don't find out until later. So our parents don't know to put those blockers on there. So when children are, even like with allergies, it's weakening their immune system. So everything, the allergies are worse now because technology has its place, but then we just need to make sure that it doesn't affect our families and everyone.
I agree for sure. So tell me about your family again, because I know you have Chris, 2 sons.
I was like, if you don't have a twin flame, your twin flame is out there somewhere. You can sure, because I actually met my best friend, twin flame, in college. We never dated, but we were just inseparable. And he was coming from his grandparent figure in the England, via New York, via Charlotte, and I was coming from my grandson. We knew nothing. So he ended up going to service. UNC.
Okay.
And it was 17 and a half years before we reconnected, and we both had been married and divorced and had children, and we reconnected.
Oh wait, Geri, you brushing past us way too quick. Let me get clarity, because I know Chris now, and I'm like, I thought y'all have been together forever, so I did not know this. Okay, guys, as I'm actually interviewing her, I'm learning stuff, and let me cross my legs differently, I need a cup of tea or something, hot chocolate, something, because this stuff is some good, juicy details. Now, you met in college.
Yes.
You were best friends. And
he was super shy.
Okay.
Like no eye contact, but soccer player, great soccer player.
And so you all dated. I mean, never dated in college. Never dated. Just with buddies.
Yeah, we would study. We would study for calculus tests, and we would pass out, and he would still be in that chair, and I'll be on the bottom. Now there was no other guy on campus that would have happened with. However,
he was never inappropriate. Just never tried anything. Just a friend. He was just a friend.
The best friend.
Interesting.
And I missed him on that journey. I was like, well, where now? If you don't understand this, if you don't have someone in the military that you try to search down, that you know, and I will call in along the way. And at one point, actually, I was getting ready to take a contract over in South Africa, and I said, I'm going to try one more time, because when I get over here,
because you all had lost contact.
Yeah, 17 and a half years.
Oh my god.
And I talked to this guy, and he says, this guy is an officer. I'm going to send him an email for you, because I'm engaged and I believe in, you know, these stories of reconnections. He said, so if you are a stalker, you can have me fired. And I'm trying to get into officers training school. Chris actually wrote him a letter to get into officers training school, and he is now an officer. He did go on, and yeah. So, but it's so interesting, because once we reconnected, we talked every single day until I actually saw him like 3 months later. And it turned out he was in Fort Bragg.
Get out of here. And then both of you divorced, and you connected.
Both had these children, and and that is even another whole different stories, because I don't even, do you remember when people used to get married and they would have to do a blood test? Mm-hmm. Do you remember that?
No.
A long time ago.
To get married?
Yeah, you have to do a blood test. Because they would do compatibility, you know, of the blood. Oh. Because, you know, there's some blood types that, you know, like that a woman could not carry that child because of that blood type, negative. And and now they don't do that anymore, and now they have all these fertility issues, right? But because it's like that blood type, you know, and so it turns out like our blood types would not have been compatible to have children.
Oh my God!
So everything is always in divine order.
So both of you already had your children, so you became a blended family, and you didn't have children together,
right?
What?
Isn't that
Jerry? I called Jerry for a minute. I didn't know this, guys. I did not know this.
It's like, why would we be separated when that was like my best friend? But also, it gave us a perspective of what really a best friend. You know, we say we were good friends, but you don't know that, because for 17 and a half years, there was no level of friendship that I had that matched or was equal to that, you know? And then it just kind of brought us back together, because the same on this end, it was like I never had a friend like that. And so when we reconnected, it was so interesting, because there was only one day that we didn't talk, and it was because he was in Louisiana for the Katrina. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so I couldn't.
So how long have you been married at this point?
So we married in 2007. So it's like been 12 years.
And so he's now a part of your joy journey, and he travels with you. He's at the school,
and he thought he was retiring, but he came right in. He's
right at Brisbane, isn't he?
He's the executive director at the school, and we work together every day. And even coming over here, it's like, I miss you. When are you? So it's just.
I bet it's such a joy to be married to you.
That is a joy. Well, you know what I say to people, you also cannot experience joy if you don't vibrate joy. Mm-hmm. You can't live life and choose to be mean.
This is great.
And send out negative vibrations and think that joy is going to show up for you. It's just does. You will experience what you vibrate, you know. So it's like whatever change, you know, all these great quotes out there, be the change you want to experience in the world. So whatever you get to choose. You get to be that. Like you get to, we talked about the free will.
Yes.
You have your free will of what you're thinking and feeling and doing and saying, but you need to know those come with the consequences.
That's
and
right.
those consequences should be good. You always get what you focus on, so you want to focus on what you desire. So people's like, it's just one bad thing after another. I say, well, when you change your mind,
change your mouth.
Change what you look at. What you look at. Change what Dr. Dyer summed it up. Change the way you look at it, and then what you're looking at has to change.
That right there, that made me do one of them jerky moves. Change. Say that again. Say that again.
Yeah, what
say it to the audience.
Dwayne Dyer said that when you change the way you look at things you look at has to change every time. You know, so even in education, if you're a teacher and if you're saying bad, this child is bad, guess what? That child is going to give you a run for your money every day. But if you're looking at this child, regardless of how they happen, you're like, you are a great person. You're a professor. You're going to do great things in life. I believe in you. You know, and at some level, they can know. And if you're saying it and you don't mean it, you won't see it.
That's right.
But if you're saying it and you're just willing that child, you're just knowing, and you're unconditional with what you're doing, it has to. I've seen it countless times.
Oh, I'm so proud that you came on here, and for me to hear your story at this level has just been, it's been life changing. And I can't wait to go on one of these joy journeys. I just can't wait for a lot of things now, to hug you tighter with our hearts connecting, because I feel a different level of connection just by you being on my show today. So thank you so much for being my guest.
So much. And I have to say, that is what my grandmother did to me. She said, she doesn't like the help. You are beautiful. You will talk. You will be happy. And she will always say that to me. Yes. And in my mind, I would dream about talking, because she would tell me that. She said, I could see you being happy, and I can see you doing this. And I
What's Grandma's name?
Maddie Moraney.
Maddie Moraney.
Yes.
Maddie Moraney.
Yes.
And where is Maddie today?
Yeah, she's my angel.
Aww.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have a picture of her?
I do.
Oh, I have to show a picture of Grandma Maddie Moraney, who inspired you to speak and to recognize the greatness that's inside of you. And I'm so glad that you've been on my show today. And I'm grateful for your brother Gerald, your twin brother Gerald. Thank you, Gerald, for being your sister's better half when she couldn't represent herself. And I'm just grateful that you started Brisbane Academy, a bully-free school zone, where all children are somebody. And so you really have earned the title. Now, I was just saying it as a part of my introduction, but now after you all have watched this show, I know you also feel that she is the Queen of Joy, right? Everybody? I see a bunch of thumbs up in the audience. Yes, you are the Queen of Joy. There's the Queen of Soul, then there's the Queen of Joy. And the Queen of Joy is Geraldine Brisbane Crooks. Geraldine Brisbane Crooks.
That's the party within itself. The joyous living, the obeying your spirit, to yes to your purpose. That's the joy.
I love it. I love that you were on my show today. So thank you so much. And again, how can people connect?
myjoycoach.net, or just call Brisbane Academy, or come by and see us.
And what were you going to say? You were going to say thank you for the opportunity. What were you
Thank you for the opportunity to be on the show, and thank you for all you do, because you send ripples. When you say Kim Jacobs, we be like, you know Kim Jacobs, I know Kim Jacobs, I feel Kim Jacobs. Let's just hug each other in honor of Kim Jacobs. You know. So thanks for all that you do, because you are a rock. And when folks say who's the most loving person that you know, you I mean, how could someone not say you? Oh. So but I want people to be more conscious of that. So don't want to just know Kim Jacobs. You want to try to build that repertoire. So just try to say, well, this is the model of my example of joy. And if someone comes into your space, you can compare. Well, no, you don't vibrate like this. At least you have a point of reference. So thank you for being the most loving person I know.
Oh, okay. I'm going to have to end the show in a meltdown moment. Because this woman is just melting my heart. Seriously. I'm not even... Okay.
In so many different ways. Everyone agrees. Thumbs up? Yes. Thumbs up? Yeah.
Okay, so thank you all. Thank you all for being here today in the studio audience. Thank you for watching the Kim Jacobs Show. Thank you, Geri, for being here, and your loving family and everything about you. I am grateful that you all watched today's show. Please make sure that you spread the word around the world that the Kim Jacobs Show is on, and to tune in. Every single week we're going to have a new episode for you, and I am excited to have you be with me today. If you have not received emails from me, make sure that you go to thebalancedoctor.tv and sign up to receive emails, and make sure that you subscribe to our channel. Subscribe and share it with one of your friends, okay, or with a group of friends, with your whole social media following. Share it with everyone to let them know that the Kim Jacobs Show is on air, okay? Have a great day, everybody, and I look forward to us connecting again soon.
Thank you. Awesome. Good job.
Oh, I love this show. I loved it today. Come on.